Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today we're walking a slippery slope because I'm going to be taking a look at 20 of the most hyped men's fragrances ever, and I'm going to let you know whether or not those fragrances are worth the hype or they're overrated. And there's a couple ways that I could approach this. I could approach this from like a more neutral standpoint where really all of these are massively successful. So to an extent, they're all worth the hype because if they weren't, people wouldn't be buying them. Or I could approach it in a little bit more of a harsh fashion, which is what I'll be doing. All the fragrances that I talked to you about are listed down below in their order of hypedness. Essentially, that's just their Fragrantica most popular ratings. That's where I pulled these from. So if you go there and you sort by men's fragrances, these are the 20 most popular as of right now in order. And before we jump into the first fragrance, you may think I'm about to mention codes, but no, that's in just a little bit. I'm gonna mention my hair. So a lot of people have asked me through messages, through emails, through comments, what's up with your hair? Why you got more of it? What's going on there? The answer is very simply, I got some chews, bro. Yeah. Some chews. Specifically, I got them from Helms, but I think you can get them from just about anywhere at this point. And essentially, it's just like minoxidil and finasteride put together into a chewable form. And I eat one a day, and then my hair comes back. Pretty sick. That's pretty much it. I only bring that up because I've had multiple people hit me up and say, hey, what are you doing for your hair? That's it, that's all. And I've actually gotten sponsorship requests from multiple companies that sell finasteride and minoxidil, including Helms, and I have accepted none of them. But to be fair, I've also gotten sponsorship requests from BetterHelp and NordVPN and Raid Shadow Legends. But I just don't know how those really work into fragrance video, so I'm like, nah, it's okay. So this is not sponsored. That is how the dome piece is looking a little more full. All right, let's begin. Number 20, the 20th most hyped, most popular fragrance for men on Fragrantica, none other than Savage Elixir. And one thing that you will notice here, if you've watched videos in the past talking about years ago, actually at this point, the top 20 most popular fragrances have shifted considerably, and a lot of that is because of the TikTokification of Fragrantica. TikTok trends, right? So essentially what happens on TikTok is fragrances, sometimes fragrances that have been out for years and years and years, will suddenly catch a hype train, and then like everybody that uses TikTok will just rush over to Fragrantica and they'll be like voting, and it shoots up in popularity. So when you see some of these fragrances toward the very top of the most popular of all time and you question yourself, is that actually true? That's why. So Savage Elixir, this thing right here, I absolutely dig. Woodsy, spicy, masculine, strong, expensive, yeah. It is that. But forget the price, it is a fantastic designer release. And for better or worse, it kicked off the entire Elixir trend that is still going on to this day. I've lived through a lot of fragrance trends, guys, a lot of them. They've come, they have gone, and they have came back around again. It is not today, it is not tomorrow, but eventually Elixir will no longer be as cool and some new thing will be. Mana, maybe like Mana Potion, that'd be a cool flanker name. But yeah, let's kick that off. Is Savage Elixir worth the hype? To me, yes. This one goes in the worth it category. Now, a lot of the stuff we're gonna be talking about today, you can find for a much better price if you shop at discounters as opposed to retailers. And if you do shop at discounters, I have a bunch of codes that you can use to save yourself a little extra money. So I've got codes for JOMASHOP, which you can only use within the JOMASHOP app. So download the app and you can use those codes. JOMASHOP is a massive discounter, one of the biggest out there. Also have codes to Maple Prime, Gift Express, Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Max Aroma, Twisted Lily, and a bunch more. So pretty much across these websites, you can find everything you want. Niche, designer, indie, clones, whatever. And if you use those codes, you can save yourself even more off the already discounted prices on those sites. Number 19 is Aeros Flame. Now, I'm torn on this one. I am torn because it's half a meme when it comes to Aeros Flame, where every single time I ask you guys what's a good fragrance for this occasion, this comes up. But at the same time, it is good for a ton of occasions. It's not that expensive. It's a compliment puller. It's versatile. It's just like, is it worth, being ranked one of the 20th most popular of all time? I hate this. I will put Aeros Flame in the overrated category. Oh, it hurts. I don't like that. I may revisit that later. But for now, we move on to 18th, Paradise Garden. So if you're unaware, again, of the talk of ticks, Jean Paul Gaultier, essentially the Le Male and Le Beau lines are just nonstop. So this is another one of those ones that caught a massive amount of hype when it came out, and that hype carried on throughout the year, and it just kept jumping up the rankings. Now, I do love Paradise Garden. I think it's a great release. Not my favorite overall, I think, in the Le Beau line, but I'd still probably put it at like second place, so it's not like it's terrible or anything like that. So this is another one that I absolutely love. I think it's a fantastic fragrance, but in terms of the hype, maybe a little overrated, even though I myself gave it a glowing review, and I do think it's very, very good. But like I said, we're trying to be harsh here today. I think it's just when it comes to this line, if I'm gonna take just one, it's gonna be probably Le Beau Parfum. That one has worked so well for me over the years. Great performance with it, but this is another one I will possibly revisit. Dior Savage is up next. And this is how you know that this is not true to like actual sales numbers, because Dior Savage is the best-selling men's fragrance in the world. But in terms of popularity amongst everybody that's talking about fragrances, it has dropped down here. Now, you can approach Dior Savage a couple of different ways. So you could say that the hype is actually not as high nowadays, even though it's still selling extremely well, because again, it's down here. So you could say, you know, it actually doesn't get enough hype in terms of where it's talked about, or you could say it is overhyped because it's maybe a little bit boring nowadays. That being said, when Savage first came out, it didn't smell like anything else out there. Now, I know some people will be like, yeah, it smelled like Bleu de Chanel. Nah, if you spray Savage here and Bleu de Chanel here and you get confused about which one is which, I'm not sure what to tell you, man. They are pretty different. So for me, against my better judgment, I'm gonna say worth it. What is going on? I just realized there's two Diors over here. This looks like a Dior glazing party. The reason I'm moving it here right now is because it is so enormously popular. It changed the world of fragrances. At full retail compared to most things nowadays, it's not that expensive. It is an insane compliment puller, it has great performance. And it's not like this is right now #1 or something like that. It's down here close to number 20. So Savage right now over here. Don't look at me though. From there, Altair. Now this is kind of crazy. Altair is the top rated, most popular men's fragrance from the brand right now. Not Leighton, not Percival, not Sedley. And to my taste, if I were saying, well, which one is the most important Parfums de Marly? Which one has had the biggest impact? I would say Leighton, personally. And if we're talking the fresh ones, Percival or Sedley. Altair is one that grows on you though. When this first came out, I had it kind of middle of the pack as far as all the PDMs that I own. It was like somewhere along that range. It wasn't one of my favorites, it wasn't one of my least favorites, but as time went on, I have appreciated it more and more and more. And of course, there are like 50,000 clones of it at this point. But for me, I'm gonna say overrated, with the caveat that it is another one that smells absolutely killer, but give me the Leighton. And I know you could say, well, Leighton has played out too. Fair enough. But it ain't like that's not. Imagination is next from Louis Vuitton. This is overrated. Now let me explain why. It is very expensive, of course, because it is a Louis Vuitton. And if you venture into the cursed realm of TikTok, you will see that this right here, even though it may not be #1 on Fragrantica yet, this right here is heralded by a lot of people as the greatest fragrance of all time, bar none, period. Now let's get it straight. Does it smell very good? Yes. Is the quality solid? Yes. But it's not something that I feel like when I smell it, I go, oh my God, everything else might as well not even exist. Citrusy, clean, fresh, nice, versatile. Absolutely. Best thing that's ever been created? Up next, Born in Roma Intense. If you've watched this channel, you know how I feel about this one. I like it a lot. Price is not that bad at full retail. It has a great vanilla note that in the air smells fantastic. Really good in terms of compliment factor. Like, this stuff is absolutely magnetic. The performance is there. It has enough of like a fresh, sweet balance that you can wear it just about whenever you want, daytime or evening. And to me, the best Born in Roma fragrance that has been made. So I'm gonna put it over here. Worth the hype. And truth be told, guys, these ones over here are absolutely killer also. Every time I look over there, I feel depressed. Like, I just want to, but I'm trying to be harsh here. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. The next one is kind of a big deal. It's Creed's Aventus, the best-selling men's niche fragrance of all time. Now, this right here, I would say, out of everything else that you see before you right now, has changed men's fragrances the most. It is an anytime fragrance. It don't matter, daytime, evening, any season. The opening, fantastic. Pineapple, citrus, extremely compliment pulling. The black currant in there gives it a nice little touch of tartness. There's a little vanilla in there for some sweetness, some birch. Gives it like a smoky, woody aspect as it dries down. So I have to put this in worth the hype because of the impact that it's had, but with a caveat. The price has consistently gone up on Aventus, across the board actually with Creed, and their retail prices nowadays are nuts, and their bottle sizes are smaller than they used to be. So some real shrinkflation for you. The bottle size went down, the price went up, the fragrance quality went down, at least compared to the earlier batches. So it is worth it in the sense of what it means historically for fragrances, and also it is an extremely easy to wear fragrance that still does smell great, but with the caveats that there have been changes for the worse for Aventus and Creed across the board. So if you wanted to say it is not worth it in terms of what you gotta pay for it nowadays, I'm not gonna argue that. Next one, Spice Bomb Extreme from Viktor and Rolf. Now I have to tell you guys, this fragrance right here, more than almost any other, I'm like between the two. I just kind of want to leave it right here in the middle, because part of me is like, yes, it is worth the hype because this is probably the best iteration of that OG kind of Spice Bomb DNA. Vanilla, great. It's a little bit smoother than the original Spice Bomb, but it still has that big pop of spice, which is what it was known for. It's what it's named for. Because you have had fragrances that came out after the fact, you know, some of the newer ones that really are not bombs of spice, but they still got the name. So on that side, I'm like, yeah, it's the best iteration of that DNA to me, to my taste, and I think it's worth that hype. Then on the other side, I remember how much hype it's gotten, and I'm like, maybe it's overblown though. And so it's like in between the two. But for me, I guess I'm gonna put it over here on the worth it side. Dylan Blue from Versace up next. Kind of a surprising one. This is like that blue fragrance that you almost feel like does not get as much hype as the other really big blue scents out there. But then you see Dylan Blue is actually above Dior Savage in terms of popularity on there right now. So, yeah. Now, one thing Dylan Blue does do is catch a lot of strays. People love to occasionally throw some hate toward this one and just say it's, you know, really boring or generic or whatever. But we gotta remember at the end of the day, it's a blue fragrance, it's made to be worn. It's made for compliments, made for versatility, made for ease of use. It's the type of fragrance that is made to be purchased, used, and purchased again. And at the price point that you can pick this one up for, which is less than the three big dog fragrances, Sauvage, Y, and Bleu de Chanel, I think it's actually worth it. I know a lot of people roll their eyes about that. Oh, Dylan Blue. But it smells great. It's a compliment puller. It's cheap. And I appreciate all those things, especially right now. Clubbed Into We Intense Man from Omuth up next. So I remember when this thing right here dropped for the first time. And we're talking about the OG Club de Nuit Intense Man. Not limited edition, special edition, extrait, none of that. Just the OG CD and IM. So I remember when this dropped and people did like it, but everybody was like, the opening is harsh and you gotta wait for a while for it to dry down, then it becomes pretty nice. But that didn't really matter too much because people loved that dry down so much, had great bang for buck, good performance, all of that. So this is another one where I'm kind of split. I'll tell you why. When this first came out, there were not that many options for Aventus style alternatives on the low. Nowadays, dime a dozen. You got billions, maybe not billions, but you got a lot. So if you're telling me OG CDNIM before all the stuff came out, you know, was it worth it then? Yes. The OG one nowadays, for most people, I would say, spend just a tiny bit more and you can get something that's better. Get one of the other Club de Nuit Intense Man fragrances. Get L'Aventure from Al Harmain. Get Mont Blanc Explorer if you wanted. You know, there's a lot of options. So for now, I'm gonna put it overrated, just based off of how that one is in terms of popularity versus all the other ones out there. Because all those other Aventus style fragrances are way down the list. And then this one is right there toward the top in terms of popularity. And is the quality gap that high between them? I don't think so. Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. This is the Swiss Armiest of all Swiss Army knife fragrances. You can use it anywhere, anytime, it don't matter. It is a little more expensive, but it is a Chanel. So it's kind of like, yeah, I expected that. I know it seems like I'm giving mad blue fragrance love here, and I guess there's no way for me to argue against that. But I'm gonna put this over here because I feel like Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum is just truly one of the most versatile scents that has ever been made, period. Across indie, niche, designer, anything. You may look at it and say, well, it's a little overdone nowadays, and that's fair enough, but it has had a massive impact on fragrances in general and helped really start to kick off the whole blue fragrance trend, because Dior would come out with this to compete with that, and then everyone came out with one. So it has had a big impact. The next one, Aeros. So this is another one where I am split once again. It is extremely popular, a great selling fragrance. It's way more versatile than people give it credit for. It is a compliment puller, and it's not gonna break the bank. All that is good. Did I say it was cheap twice? I hope not. Now I've already put Aeros Flame over here. And when it comes to Aeros Eau de Toilette, it's almost like the Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum put together in my mind, right? Like they all get squeezed into this one bottle, and I'm ranking Aeros as Aeros. And I think that what this one can do, which again is way more than it gets credit for, and the price that you can pay to get it for, and how successful it's been, I'm gonna put it over here in worth it, but at the same time, it's overrated. I think the fragrance on the whole is worth it, especially the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum. Those are very good fragrances. And to be fair, it is like a top 10 best-selling fragrance. So to see it in the top 10 most popular, it makes sense. So it's a little bit of both of these things, but if I had to pick just one, I'm gonna put it over there. Jazz Club up next, Maison Martin Margiela. I'm gonna give myself a little spritz of that Jazz Club. It feels like, to an extent, that there was this time where people were mad hyped about Replica, like By the Fireplace and Jazz Club specifically, and they got talked about a lot. Just hype. Jazz Club's hype lived on longer than By the Fireplace. But as time has gone on, people have gone, Replica, yeah, that's cool, that's okay, it's cool. But they haven't hit that same level like this, right? And this is one, this sucks. I hate being negative toward fragrances that I like. Like, I like all of these fragrances. This sucks. Jazz Club I'm gonna put overrated. I think it's not actually as smooth as a lot of fragrances are that kind of play in that ballpark. Like, it has a little bit of this, like spicy woodiness along the edges of the scent that kind of stick out in a way. And I am grasping at straws here. Honestly, it smells freaking good. But I don't think that it's one of the absolute top of the line best scents that's ever been made type of fragrance. To be fair, I guess a lot of these you might say aren't, but we're moving on. Offnot, 9 p.m. Somehow, 9 p.m. one of the most popular fragrances of all time. Now, to be fair, it is very affordable. It does have great staying power. It smells similar to Ultramall from Jean Paul Gaultier, which Jean Paul Gaultier everywhere on TikTok. So honestly, that's one of the reasons this is as high as it is, because people are like, oh my God, Jean Paul Gaultier, Jean Paul Gaultier, Jean Paul Gaultier, cheap. Fragrantica, go. It's almost like sending the Nazgul out, right? They're like, find the Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances, upvote them. And then it's like the armies of Sauron run into Fragrantica, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Now, there are lots of clone fragrances out there nowadays. To me, 9 p.m. is not one of the best ever made. It's a very solid one. It's one that if you're into clones, you definitely should have. It is one of the ones I tell beginners to check out because it does have good versatility. It is inexpensive, has good performance. But I feel like if we're talking the biggest of all time, Club de Nuit Intense Man, obviously, has to be up there. Even though I have it over here, it's gotta be up there. 9 p.m. above Club de Nuit Intense Man? I don't think so. Above Camera? No. So I'm gonna put it over here with the caveat that really both of these, if you're a beginner getting into clones, you need to know both of them. There's no way around that. Dior Homme Intense, worth it. All right. Next, legitimately, I mean, just it's worth it. One of the best iris fragrances ever, extremely classy, great performance, smells amazing. And also for most people getting started in fragrances, they'll probably hate it and never wear it. But it is a masterpiece, even though that doesn't sound like one when I say they would never wear it. Why? EDP. Interestingly enough, why Eau de Parfum on Fragrantica, the highest blue fragrance, and at least ever since it came out, which who knows, in future things can change, right? But ever since it came out, it has been third behind Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel in terms of sales. And this is another one I struggle with greatly because I love Eau de Parfum. Do I think realistically it should be number 4, number 5? No. But I do love some Eau de Parfum. I really dig the sweetness that it has, that apple off the top, and I can't justify putting it over here when I've got Bleu de Chanel and Sauvage over there. Le Beau Le Parfum. So I had Paradise Garden over here, but you remember what I said? How Le Beau Le Parfum, that one was my favorite one. The one I like a lot. So it is, and this one has just gotten me crazy compliments for what that's worth. I know a lot of people don't care about that, but it don't hurt. It's got good versatility. For me, spring, fall, winter, summertime, a little too heavy, but the other 3 seasons, top notch. Very sweet, but has a nice fresh aspect to it. And even though it is honestly overhyped, I guess I just said that. Oh no. Even though it's overhyped, I think it's also worth it. Stronger With You Intensely. This one I feel is overrated, overhyped. Now, the fragrance itself, I got no problems with. I love Stronger With You. Stronger With You, absolutely. I like a little bit more than this one, but still, Stronger With You Intensely is solid. Another one with great performance, big compliment factor, all that stuff, which most of these share that in common. The reason that I'm putting this here is I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's like a coordinated hype machine. It's kind of weird. Like the Fragrance Foundation is putting this up for Fragrance of the Year for last year, 2024, when it originally released in 2019. And yeah, they did do like a relaunch and launched it in the US and everything. And it's a little bit different, the new version, but it's not that different. It's one of those ones where there are differences, but you have to kind of spray it on side by side and go back and forth. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, this version's a little more this, that's a little more that. But in the air and for all intents and purposes, you know, it's not that different. So Stronger With You Intensely, I gotta put over here. Yeah, but that's nothing compared to these two, which is number 1 together. The LAL Bros. Which one is Mario? Which one is Luigi? I guess this one's Mario because it's a little bit older, right? So Mario, Luigi. The LAL Bros have been upvoted to the point that these are the number 1 and number 2 most popular fragrances. And so I just kind of put them together here because they're not different enough that I would say they've got to have 2 different spots, right? And here is the dilemma. I love both a lot, a whole lot. But the level of insane hype that these have gotten is like, dang. And I know a lot of people are like team Le Parfum or team Elixir. I'm team both. Depending on which day, you know, maybe I'd rather wear this, maybe I'd rather wear this. I do seem to gravitate a little bit more toward Elixir, but you know, I love both of these. So these are both fragrances that are both of these things. They are absolutely worth owning. They're maybe a little bit overhyped. Can I do a thing? Okay, if we're doing this like, I'll put it here, okay? And then there are your tiers. So that's where I have them as far as overrated or worth it, worth the hype. But let me make a separate tier where it's a little bit of both. So if we say that the fragrances are both worth it in a sense, but also overhyped in a sense, then I'll put Paradise Garden, Imagination, Altair, Aeros Flame. This one is still overhyped for like how much it's being talked about right now. And this one, I still feel like you should buy something else with just a little bit more money. This one as well, I think doesn't hit the same way as it used to for me. And 9 p.m. as well, so I'm gonna leave those there. I would probably have it something like this. Not really putting much thought into it, obviously, just kind of, I would have the fragrances that are a little bit of both as Paradise Garden, Le Male de Parfum, and Elixir, Eau de Parfum, Aeros Flame, Altair, Imagination, Savage, Eau de Toilette, Splash Bomb Extreme, and Dylan Blue. And then over here on Worth It, Savage, Elixir, BDC, EDP, Born Aroma Intense, Aventus, because of, actually no, Aventus you up here. Dior Intense, and Le Beau de Parfum. Sorry, Aventus, you just cost too much nowadays, bro. So there it is. That's how it do. That's how I'm gonna put it. Honestly though, every single one of these fragrances, even the ones over here, I have so much admiration for. And even some of these, like I will absolutely wear Stronger With You Intensely. Absolutely. It's just kind of like the hype has hit fever pitch and you gotta question it to an extent. So there it is. Let me know how you would switch these up because I know everybody's gonna have different ideas. Some of these should be over here, some should be over there, and everything in between. Stay safe out there, guys. Take care of yourself. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.